when it comes to quadratics, there are three main ways that you learn to manipulate them in GCSE maths. One of them is today's topic, which is completing the square. Do you know the other two? Think about it. One of them is factorizing, okay, that the first thing that you learn about quadratics, and the other one is about using the quadratic formula.
X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
These should be off by heart. Um, when it comes to completing square, two main things you have to learn about. One is obviously how to perform the skill of completing square, and two, working on a turning point. And that's the whole point of completing a square. You find a turning point. That's the most useful stuff about completing square. Now, there is another thing you might need to use completing square for, but that's only for A-level maths, about something to do with the equation of circle. Anyway, so it's a useful skill to learn, and it's something that you have to practice lots and lots and lots of times. It's like, do you ever forget how to eat? No, you won't, because you practice every day. Do you ever forget how to walk? You might do if you sit on your chair for the whole day and forget and do not walk for the whole century. Then of course you do forget how to walk. But that's what I'm trying to say. The more you practice it, the more you get used to it, and it becomes just fluent part of you, just like water. Right. I'm not talking about squares. Don't have squares part of your body as a whole routine. Don't do that. Your body is gonna be full of junk. Notes. Completing square form of a quadratic expression is in this format: x plus and minus p squared plus and minus q. In other words, we have to find the value of p and q and put in this format, and then we can locate the turning point. I'll come back to this at the end. Okay. Now these are some steps for you to sort of, I guess, a cheat sheet for you to steps to complete a square if you forget it, and then you can just read it again, see if you remember it. So the first step is to halve the b term. The b term is very important to halve it, and then you square the half of the b term. So when you halve it, that becomes the value of p, and if you halve it and then minus it, square it, and then minus outside bracket, and then simplify the constant term. When it comes to x squared, the coefficient of x squared no longer be 1, then things are a little bit more complicated. I'll show you an example later. But main skill you have to grasp is this one here. You do get this one quite here and there, but main ones are these ones, the simpler ones. The first example, I'm going to show you how to complete a square for the following quadratic expressions. Now note, question C has a minus in it, the rest of them are plus, so I just want to show you both plus and minus version of it. First thing first, for each question, I'm going to write down the b term of each quadratic expression. Okay, for question A, the b term is 8. B term is the coefficient in front of x. Question B, the b term is 6. For question C, the b term is negative 10. Don't forget a negative in the front. For question D, the b term is 3. All right, so that's the first step, work at the b term. The second step is to halve the b term. So if I divide by 2, that will give me 4. That 4 becomes the p term inside bracket. So that will become x plus 4 squared is a plus because it's positive 4. And then what we do is we square the b term and halve it outside bracket and minus outside bracket. So square the b term. 4 squared is 16. So minus 16 on the outside. And that's it. Right, let's try b. Half it, first step, so which is 3. Next step, put it inside bracket, x plus 3 squared. So we have to do 3 squared, which is 9, so minus 9. But we also have the plus 7 on the outside, so we'll just put it at the end. Okay. So, and then we'll do x plus 3 squared minus 9 plus 7 is negative 2. Right? Let's try C. Minus 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. So my answer will start with x minus 5 squared. Okay. Now 5 squared, negative 5 squared is 25, but so we still take away 25 on the outside. It's always take away on the outside. And then don't forget a minus 4, so do the minus 4. So that will become x minus 5 squared, negative 25 minus 4, negative 29. Well, one question you may ask is how do you double check your answer? Well, easy. If you expand a bracket, then you get the same answer. For example, let me show you this one. If we double check, okay, I want to double check my work. So I'm going to expand a double bracket. So x plus 3 squared is x plus 3 times x plus 3 minus 2. So x plus 3 times x plus 3 is x squared plus 6x plus 9 minus 2, which give you plus 9 minus 2 is plus 7. So you know that's correct. Right, last but not least, the b equals 3. This time we halve it. Now, some people prefer to work with fraction. Some people prefer to work with decimal. I would say it depends on whether you have a calculator or not. Without a calculator, using a fraction will be easier to manipulate numbers, okay? Because you can work with fraction quite easily. But and also depends on number. Like 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So it depends really if you're more confident in decimal or fraction. Here I'm just going to use with decimal. 3 divided by 2 I know is 1.5. Or you can do with 3 over 2. First step, x plus the 3 over 2 squared. I say using decimal version. Anyway, I am using fraction. So what can you do with me? I'm going to eat my words and use fraction. So anyway, and then we square that. So 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. Subtract it on the outside. And then don't forget the plus 2. So we'll do the plus 2 in there. Right, then x plus 3 over 2 squared. Now, to do with negative 9 over 4 plus 2, what you can do here is the 2, you can make it into a fraction out of 4. So that will be 8 over 4, because that will be over 1, so 8 over 4. Minus 9 plus 8 is minus 1. So minus 1 quarter. So that will be minus a quarter, and that will be my final answer. As I've told you in the beginning of lesson, this completing square requires a lot of effort, a lot of practice for you to make sure you know how to do them fluently. So pause the video, have a go at the question. Don't rush it. You don't want to rush algebra, so do it slowly and make sure you get every single step correct. And when you're ready for the answer, you can press play. Here are the answers.
Nobody say anything! Nobody talk!
Now this is where the real fun begins. There is a coefficient in front of x squared, which is not 1. So it's like 2, you see 2 minus 3. So with these kind of harder quadratics, and that's why grade 8 topic, if you can master this algebraic skills, then you are qualified to be a grade 8 mathematics student in this topic. Right, so what we need to do first of all is, okay, let's read the cheat sheet first. First of all, factorize the a first. Well, we'll do that, okay? Right, so question A. Now with the quadratic, let me just rewrite it again. Now I want to break into two parts. The first part is the 2x squared plus 8x. And then the other part is the plus 3. Now we can leave the plus 3 alone, okay, for now. So let's focus on this part. 2x squared plus 8x. We'll just work on the 2x squared plus 8x. So 2x squared plus 8x, we can factorize the a first. So factorize the a term, so 2x squared plus 4x. So that's the first step. Now I'm going to put a 1 in there. That means this is step 1. It's like referring this step 1 in here. Next step, half the new b term. Okay, so step 2, we're going to half the new b term. So that b term is 4. Half it equals, so about my poor handwriting, divided by 2 equals 2. So the new b value is 2. Then the third step is we square it, and then we minus it. So basically same like the previous step. So same as the previous. What we do then is 2. Okay, so the 2 is still there. X plus 2 squared minus 4. But here, this time we have to put a big bracket because everything we're doing here is inside the 2. So to color code it for you, it means this part is this part. So we are completing the square. So this one here is like the previous example, like what you did before. Next step, we're going to multiply it out. Okay, so we're going to multiply out the bracket. So if I expand the bracket, 2 bracket x plus 2 squared minus 8. So in here, what I did was I then multiply the 2. Multiply by 2. Okay, so it's like that. Right, but that's not the final answer because we have been focusing on the yellow part. Now we have to add the 3 back in. So the question was 2x squared plus 8x plus 3. Now it becomes 2 bracket x plus 2 squared minus 8. So what have we done? We have replaced this part by this. And then we have to plus 3. Our final answer will be 2 bracket x plus 2 squared minus 5. Minus 8 plus 3 is minus 5. Okay. Now digest it, see if you understand it. If you need time to digest it, pause the video and read it through first. Question B. Okay, I'm going to do on the side next to it so you can see similar steps. This time 2x squared minus 18x plus 12. First thing first, we are going to split into this part. We're going to do complete square on this one first. So 2x squared minus 18x. I'm going to factorize the 2 out. So 2x squared minus 9x. My new b term is negative 9. When I divide it by 2, is negative 9 over 2. So that becomes 2 big bracket x minus 9 over 2 squared. And then square this number. So 81 over 4 is subtraction. We don't put the plus 12 in here. In the previous example, we put the constant term after we're completing square. We don't in here because the 2 has a priority. So the plus 12 has to be added, or the constant term in here has to be taken care of at the final step. Okay, so what do we do next? If we look at the previous example question, and then we expand the bracket out, so that now becomes expanded out. So 2 bracket x minus 9 over 2 squared. You don't remember, you don't ever expand this double bracket square bracket, because the whole point of completing square is to keep it in this format over square. And then 2 multiplying 2 and the 4 will cancel down into the denominator, becomes 2. Final step, I'm going to rewrite the question just to keep the integrity of the original. Plus 12 equals, so I'm going to replace this bit with what we've done just now. 2 bracket x minus 9 over 2 squared minus 81 over 2, and then we plus 12. Now plus 12, let's use a calculator in here. So 2 bracket x minus 9 over 2 squared. When you use a calculator, don't forget the negative. Okay, the negative, when you put 81 over 2, don't forget a negative in the front. So then you will get minus 57 over 2, or you can use the decimal version, doesn't matter. Next, for question C, we're going to move on to something harder now. Okay, so question by question, we're getting harder and harder. First of all, in here, everything is positive, everything even, quite well. And then suddenly in here, looks like even, it becomes an odd number, and it becomes a fraction. Now C, we actually start off with an odd number in here. Right, so question C, 2x squared, I'm going to do it underneath it. For question C, 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. So first thing first, we are going to deal with this 2x squared plus 11x. So I'm going to write out 2x squared plus 11x. I'm going to factorize the 2 out. 2x squared plus 11 over 2x. Now this type of question rarely comes up in the exam unless it's a really later part in the paper where they want to test out your very high level of algebra skills. Next, after factorize 2, and then you have to work with a b term. So the new b term is 11 over 2. Once we got the new b term, we have to halve it. Divide by 2 is 11 over 4. So then we can go in and complete a square. So it'll be 2 bracket x plus 11 over 4 squared. Subtract, square that, 121 over 16. Expand the bracket, just put the 2 back in, so 2 bracket x plus 11 over 4 squared. Multiply in, use a calculator, 121 over 16 times 2 is 121 over 8. Last but not least, we have to put a plus 15 back in, so 2x squared plus 11x plus 15 equals 2 bracket x plus 11 over 4 squared minus 121 over 8 plus 15. So once you've got that, you can put in a calculator again. So 2 bracket in the front, we can't do anything. This bit, simplifying the calculator, you get a nice 1/8. And that will be the final answer. And for D, let's move on to the last one. This time, question D, let's read the question. Minus 3x squared minus 13x plus 4. So minus 3x squared minus 13x plus 4, the monstrous question. Right. First step. Okay, look at the left hand side. What do? We can highlight this part. We can do that part first. So negative 3x squared minus 13x, we are going to factorize a negative 3. So factorize negative 3. So x squared plus 13 over 3x. Now why negative 3? Because this part always a positive x squared. In completing square, we always want a positive x squared in there. Right? So therefore, the new b term is 13 over 3. Note one thing, when I factorize negative 3, that becomes a plus 13 over 3. So the new b term divided by 2 is 13 over 6. So when we complete a square in here, it'll be negative 3, and then x plus 13 over 6 squared minus square that fraction, 169 over 36. Multiply the minus 3 back in. Minus 3 times that is just negative 3 bracket x plus 13 over 6 squared. Minus 3 times negative 169 over 36. Put it in a calculator, you'll get a plus 169 over 12. It's a plus, minus makes a plus. Last but not least, let's rewrite the final question again. Minus 3x squared minus 13x plus 4 now becomes, so rewrite the first part, minus 3x plus 13 over 6 squared plus 169 over 12 plus 4. And then, therefore, that will give us minus 3x plus 13 over 6 squared plus 217 over 12. Now that is probably the hardest question you ever see about completing square, which I doubt you will see in exam. Now we've done the harder part of the completing square. Let's look at the silver lining side of it. We're just learning how to use completed square form of the quadratic equation. So you can see in these questions A, B, C, D, in these 4 questions, they have already completed square for you. We just need to learn how to read the turning point of it. So the turning point of it is, now why do we have a turning point? Well, think about a quadratic. Do you remember the name of this shape? It's called parabola. Okay, so quadratics have a shape of parabola. Every quadratic has a turning point. These are the turning point. Okay, you can use a completing square to help you work out the coordinates of a turning point. Now, for example, this one, what we need to do is we're going to do the opposite inside the x. If you know about transformation of graph, you will remember anything inside bracket has something to do with x, and x is rebellious. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to the transformation of graph video. Anyway, the coordinate will be the opposite sign inside bracket. Plus 6 is minus 6. For the y, it's just minus 1. It is what it is. Okay. B, minus 1 is going to be 1. Plus 9, 9. Or you can put a plus in there if you want to. C, the 2, nothing to do with me. Only care about the plus 4 in here, which is minus 4. Negative 11 over 3. Negative 11 over 3 it is. D, -1, a 1. Oh, no number, 0. And these are turning points. That means if you plot the graph on any, if you want to plot the graph, draw a graph, this is a turning point. So now you may go back to the notes section in the first page where in the middle it says turning point of x plus 2 squared minus 6 is, so opposite of plus 2 is -2, -6, the -6 keep it as it is. This one is 4 plus 5 or positive 5. This one is 1 and -4. Okay, just for quick reference when you have to refer back to this page. So now your turn to have a real go at these hard completing square questions. I would suggest you to follow my example step by step, copy the structure of it, change numbers, of course, based on the question. Try to follow step by step, follow the exact same structure, have an exact same number of working out lines, like this ones I've got from the question. I copy the question, 1 line, 2 lines, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. Try to keep it 6 lines, see if you can do that. Like same in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, always 6 lines. See if you can have a go at the question. Okay, pause the video if you have a go at it. When you need help, then you can play, or when you finish a question, you can play the video. Here are the answers. I have written a step-by-step solution for you. It took me nearly 15 minutes to write all the solution, and my hands are aching right now. Anyway, but it's for your own benefit. Have a read through one by one. Okay, just stop whenever you need to have time to read the lines in between. But don't forget to write a turning point as well. That's question C and D. And this is question E and F. And this is question G and H, the last one, the last two. G and H particularly are quite difficult. Okay, if you have done them correctly and you've got most of them correct,